Hey you, and welcome to my channel. My name is Tina and my aim is to improve your drawings just like others have done for me when I just started out. This week I'm having a go at a house cat, moving away from the exotic animals for a change. This was a commissioned piece and I thought it might be helpful for you if I filmed my process and made a tutorial out of this one, as it is a multicolored kitty. So let's get on with it. By now you've seen me starting on the background, which I wanted to give the same tint as the eyes of this gorgeous creature. They are green with a little minty green spots in them. As I'm making the background have the same color, the focus will be more towards the eyes in the end result. I'm using soft pastel sticks for the background, but will switch to PanPastels when I'm blocking in the colors of the cat itself. And for the cat I didn't use any white to block in the white parts first. This might sound strange, but if I were to use white as my underlayer, I wouldn't be able to add white on top and have it show up. Seems like I made a lot of sense right now, don't I? I have all of the pastel wisdom. Ha, I wish. I actually mixed a lot of grey with the light grey that I was using to fill in the cat's white fur. This indicates the areas that are covered in shadow. For the orange parts, I'm using an orange PanPastel and an orangey brown one. I mix these with each other to get different tones of the orange color that I'm looking for, keeping in mind the areas that are catching some light and the ones in the shadow areas, of course. And then it's time to block in the brownish patches of the cat. These are brown patches where a lot of lighter hairs grow out of. Making them a sort of dark brown makes it easier to add those lighter hairs later on when I'm adding the details. After that I add in the darkest spots with black, although it's not straight black out of the PanPastel. I mix a dark brown with a little black to get a more intense color, which doesn't look as dull black patches. If you made it until here already, please do me a favor and help my channel grow. You can do this by clicking that subscribe button and the like button down below. If you want to get notified whenever I upload a new video, which is once a week every Friday, make sure to hit that bell icon too. You're helping me out big time, as this helps to show my channel to more people who will hopefully like my videos as well. So a big thank you for supporting me. And lastly, I add in the pink for the ears and the white fur growing inside of the ears. The nose will be the last thing I add in with the PanPastels. For the eyes, I'm going to use only pencils, as I want to be really careful not to smudge any other colors in there. You know by now why I'm using some glassine paper underneath my hand, if you've watched some of my other tutorials. This prevents the area where I'm resting my hand and arm from smudging. When I'm starting out with pencils, I'm simply refining the areas where I laid down a base layer and adding a lot of hairs. Starting with the white hairs in the ear and the edge of the ear. I'm outlining the edge a little with a very light pink. This makes the cat stand out from the background some more, and it looks like you can see a little bit of the hair that is growing on the back of the ear. After that, I'm working from the top of the head to the bottom, left to right, this again to prevent smudging. I look at my reference picture all of the time, since this is a commission and I have to make sure that my subject looks like the reference, as this is really important here. When I'm drawing wildlife, if a spot is not in the exact same place, that doesn't really matter. When a spot is off with a commission of a pet, the owner will definitely notice. So make sure that you look at your reference at least as much as you're looking at your paper when you're drawing someone's pet. I am basically adding all of the lighter hairs on top of the underlayer here. This is why it's so important to go dark enough or bold enough with your underlayer. If you didn't go dark enough, your lighter hairs won't show up as much, or you would have to use pure white or a very light color, which might cause it to look too light in the end result, and you'll have to go over it again with a darker color and repeat everything. So save yourself a lot of time and dare to go bold. Better too bold than not bold enough, as you can always lighten things up with pastel. When it's time for the eyes, I'm using only pencils, mostly green ones. But first outlining the eye by adding some color to the skin around the eyes and contouring the eye itself with a very dark grey color. This makes it seem like the eye is inside of the head, which it is, and not glued on top of it. I'm then choosing the shades of green that I want to add and apply those before I go over them with a blending stump. This gives it way more control than if I were to use my stumpy fingers. When I'm adding the pupil, I'm making sure that I don't go over the indicated line to keep it really close to the photo, of course. In between the first and the second eye, I'm quickly finishing the nose as it was bothering me that it wasn't finished already. I chose a dark pink and a dark brown color, even a dark grey to add in the shadows. When I filled in the colors that I wanted to, I went over it one more time with a lighter shade of pink to give the illusion of a wet nose. This makes it seem a little bit more realistic. On to the second eye, which is basically a repetition of the first one, only less bright. The second eye is covered in some shadow, only the bottom part is catching some light, which it is reflecting. So here we use more muted color than on the first one, adding some white hairs over the top as well to give it that realistic feeling. And when the face is finished, it's time to focus on the paw beneath the cat's head and the rest of the body. I start out by using a mid-tone greenish beige, I have no idea what this is actually called, and use this to indicate the shadowed part beneath the head. After the tone was dark enough, I could go over with some very light grey to indicate the white hairs of the paws. And again, make sure to look at your reference picture to see where the fur is in shadow and where it's catching some light. This way you can add darker colors accordingly. Only use pure white for the final hairs and don't overdo this, as this can quickly become too much. For the rest of the body, we're basically repeating what we've done on the cat's head already, just not as detailed, as the body lies further away from view, which means that it's a little bit more out of focus. So here you can go a little looser with your strokes and blend them out just a little more. This will give the illusion of depth in your artwork. Make sure to look for any shadows or highlights you might need to emphasize some more, as I needed to do with the armpits. I'll just call it the armpits, as I don't know if this is the same as with humans, but you get what I mean, right? And lastly, I'm adding some pure white on top of the nose to get in that really bright reflection to indicate the wetness a little more. And then I'm ready to call this one finished. Well, actually, I did add the whiskers after this, but I forgot to film that part. I'm sorry. So I'll just show you a picture of the finished piece. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate your support, as this helps to grow my channel and reach other people just like yourself. Hope to see you again next Friday, and in the meantime, have a great week.